All right, so now we've been able to create a token. What we want to do next is to be able to log in that user, and technically logging in the user simply means that we are sending that token to our front end or to our client, which is the browser, and that is going to tell the front end that look, this user has been properly authenticated and the user can access our back end. Okay, so there are different ways we can do this. One of the ways that is very common if you watch a lot of online tutorial and even some online courses is that you can save this token here that we are returning. You can save it in local storage, and then you can use it as what is known as a bearer token when you're making requests to the back end. That's in your headers. Okay, now if this flew over your head, don't worry, it's just a method that people use to send this token to the front end. But like I do for all my courses, I did some research on the best way to authenticate your user or to log in your user, and I discovered cookies. So there's something called HTTP only cookie, and from the research I did, the advantage HTTP only cookie confers as against saving your token in local storage is that um, saving your token in local storage can predispose your um, application to what is known as cross-site scripting. What that means is that an attacker may be able to execute a script on your website, and this can be maybe from other packages or other dependencies that you use on your website. If some of those dependencies are uh, compromised, an attacker may be able to run a script that will look inside your local storage and just grab the token of your users or whatever information you store there for your site, stuff like that. So it's recommended that you use HTTP only cookie. Now, tomorrow this can change, new information as we keep learning. This can change, and the web community may come up with something else, something better. But for now, we're going to use HTTP only cookie to log in our user. So to do that, we're going to need to first install a package. The name of that package is Cookie Parser. So let me come to my terminal here, and I'll say npm install cookie hyphen parser. So that's parser. Yeah, like so. Now I hope you appreciate the fact that I'm installing this package when we want to use them, and I'm explaining what they do, because some people will just some tutorials and courses I've watched, they will just install all the packages at the beginning of the video, so it's difficult to appreciate what each of those packages do. So but I hope you appreciate now that I'm installing it when we need them and then explaining. Anyway, let's just continue. So I'll hit enter and give it a couple of seconds. Aha, so it's finished installing. Let's confirm package or JSON, and you see here we now have cookie parser. That's great. Now this cookie parser, we're not just going to use it here, we're going to use it at the top of our application. So server.js, we're going to come here and import cookie parser. So here I'll say, you know what, let me just save some time. So I'll just say cookie parser, and then it's going to require cookie parser. All right. Okay, I was expecting it to give me autocomplete cookie parser, like so. So that's about it. Now we're now going to initialize it with our middleware. So this middleware here, I'll just come here, and maybe after express.json, I'll just add my cookie parser. So cookie parser, and then I'll just call it. So that's it for calling it from the top of our application. Now I'll head back to my user controller, and after I've generated my token, where is it? Yeah, so this is where I generate my token. So after I've generated this token here, oh sorry, inside of the register user function rather, exactly, yeah. So after I've generated my token, I'm going to send that cookie. So here I'll say send HTTP only cookie. Yeah, so I'm going to send it to my client or the front end. So how am I going to do that? Here I'll just say response.cookie, okay, because it's like a response we are sending to the front end. So here we're going to add some parameters here. So what's the name of the cookie? What do you want the cookie to be saved as in the front end? So here I'll say I want it to be saved as token, right? I'll add a comma, and then I will now specify this token here. Okay, so I'll point to this token. That's what I want to save. Add a comma. Then there are some other properties that we now add inside of this object to just describe how we want to save the cookie. So I'll open that up, and then here the first thing is the path. So path, and I'll set that to, even if you don't set the path, it's going to default to the home page, so /, but then I'll just set that. Okay, so what this means is, anyway, I'll just write all the properties, then I'll now see what they mean. Then the next is HTTP only. Aha, so you see it's giving me autocorrect. I always like it when it gives me autocomplete rather. So I'll set that to true. Then when do you want this cookie to expire? So here I'll say expires. And remember, we've already said that we want it to expire in 1 day when we're generating the token. So expires, I'll set that to 1 day. We're going to use the date object here. So I'll say new date, open your brackets, and I want to say that I want to write 1 day here. So here I'll just say date.now. That's the current time that we are now, or the current dates that we are now. And then I'm just going to say plus an additional 1 day. So here I'll just say plus, and then I'll just say 1000 times 8, that's 86400. Okay, so technically this is just 1 day. Let me write it here. Great. Right, so the next property that we're going to add is same site. And I'll set this to none. Oh, there needs to be a comma here. That's why we're getting that red line, comma. Aha, so same site, I'll set this to none. I'll add a comma, and then I'll say secure, and I'll set this to true. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about what these properties mean so that we can, go ahead and test this out. And to do that, I'm just going to open a resource online. So let me just grab my browser and just expand this guy. So this is a resource online. So you notice that we have, this is response.cookie, and the parameters it has is just giving us what they mean. So I didn't even add the domain, okay, but let's look at the ones we added. So you see expires, it defines when the cookie will be expired. HTTP only. This boolean parameter flags the cookie to be used by the web server. All right, so that's, then the path. Okay, we defined path. This is the path where the cookie will be stored. Default is /, which is the home page. Secure, this marks the cookie to be used with HTTPS. All right, so you may want to now say that, oh, but we're developing in local environments, we don't have HTTPS here, we just have HTTP. Well, these last two parameters, they would actually not be executed now, they'll be executed when we deploy. So same site set to none simply means that our front end and our back end can have different URLs. So in our case, we're going to host our front end on Vercel, so it's going to have a different URL. We're going to host the back end on Render, different URL. So by setting the same site to none, we are telling this cookie that, look, although we have different URL for our front end and back end, I still want you to work just fine. And then for the secure, we're just specifying that we're going to use HTTPS. So that's about it for, sending our cookie to the front end of our browser. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come here and register a new account. So let's open our Insomnia and let's try to register a new account. So here I'll just say user 4, for example. So user 4. I hope we don't get to user 200. Okay, I'll go ahead and click on send, and let's see, it's going to create a user and it's going to send this cookie. Aha, so you see it has created user4@gmail.com. So I'll expand this guy, and you see in this cookie tab here, we have 1. So I'll click on it, and as you can see, we now have a cookie here. And remember, we said that the name of the cookie should be token, so we have that here, and then this is the cookie. So if this was the front end of our application, this will be sent to the browser, and then we can now use this to confirm that this user is currently logged in. And if it expires, then the user will be automatically logged out. So that's about how we can log in our user using the cookie parser or the cookie method, HTTP cookie only method. So that's about it. See you in the next one.